Welcome back, yogis. This is our second video in our tutorial series where we're breaking down poses in our yoga classes. There's never enough time to fully explain what you should be engaging and focusing on and also avoiding in poses. So today's class is going to be breaking down high plank. Most of the weight in your body is being supported by your shoulders. So in a yoga class, you might be doing this vinyasa sequence of downward dog to plank, chaturanga, up dog, maybe 10 times in a class. Maybe you go to class 3 times a week. Maybe you go to yoga for a couple of years, and pretty soon you've done 1,000 of these little sequences. So you can imagine that puts a lot of strain on the shoulder girdle and shoulder stability in general. Since the shoulder is the most mobile joint in the body, then you can imagine when something is more mobile, then it has a higher risk of injury because it's less stable. So the shoulder joint, just to break it down and keep it simple, has 2 main joints that make up the shoulder itself. So the first one is the acromyoclavicular, so that's the joint that connects your collarbone to your shoulder blade. So that's the one that allows you to protract your shoulders and retract your shoulders or shrug your shoulders up and down. So that's that major joint there. The second one is the glenohumeral. So that's the ball and socket joint that allows you to move your humerus bone, your upper arm, in the ball and socket of your shoulder. So with these 2 joints combined, there's a lot of stuff going on in the shoulders, and that's why it's so important to have shoulder stability, especially in high plank.
What we hear a lot and what also we experienced in our yoga journey is that people get pain here in the front side of the shoulder and discomfort, and that can be from doing plank and especially chaturanga incorrectly or in a not so safe way. So we'll cover what you have to do with your shoulders, with your arms in plank to keep everything safe and strong and really use your muscles again instead of hanging out in your joints.
Let's come into the pose and I'll demo this time and Flo can explain.
So we just start with the knees lifted for now. If plank is too strong of a pose for you, then feel free to set the knees down. We'll talk about that in a second. But what you basically want to do is, again, hand placement is where you start. You always start with whatever is touching the ground first. So you want to spread the fingers not too wide again, otherwise you lose the strength in your forearms. You grip with your fingers into the ground and you push the ground away as much as you can. So you want to create as much space between the chest and the ground as possible. You also externally rotate the arms so that the biceps are pointing forward, or that you want to rotate the eyes of the elbows that they are pointing forward. If you imagine or feel when you're in the pose that space between the shoulder blades, that space wants to reach up towards the ceiling as much as it can. So you want to press into your hands for dear life, basically, as much as you can. And then moving down the body, you want to tuck the tailbone. So what we see a lot is that it's like a straight line, and maybe you're also not pressing into the shoulder. So this is very hard on the lower back, really bad for the shoulders here as well. So you want to push the ground away, lift your hips a little bit higher, tuck your tailbone, so you really engage your core and use your core. So it's not all coming from the arms, but you also use the core for support. You want to engage the glutes, your thighs as well. So it's really a full body pose. And also you want to stay on the balls of your feet. You don't want to be all the way on the toes like this, because when you shift forward for a chaturanga, you have to shift forward. And if you're already here in plank, there's nowhere to shift. You cannot go further forward. So you want to stay on the balls of the feet. Good job, Bre, staying so long. So you can set the knees down. I'll set the knees down. Let's cover this variation. The knees are down, but the upper body is still doing the same. She's still externally rotating the arms, pushing the ground away. So nothing changed here. And now if you lift the legs back up, keep tailbone tucked, That's our plank. Good job, Bre.
Thanks.
It's so important to keep pushing into your hands, push the ground away. And of course, this is more challenging. It's not an easy pose. It might look simple from the shape, but it's not easy. And if you hold it for a minute or two, it's very, very challenging. And we use it a lot in our strength practice and our stronger classes. Just holding a plank for a long time is challenging. And then you can find that state of meditation within while you are in this challenging hold. But if this is too much for you, like how we explained it just now, set the knees down. Just let go of whatever everyone else is doing around you. Set the knees down, keep pushing the ground away, continue to do your best. And over time you will get stronger. Strength comes really fast, a lot faster than flexibility, so just keep the practice up and modify.
Because if you don't have the strength yet to hold yourself in that posture, as we just cued through, then you can start to dump into the shoulder girdle and put a lot of pressure on the front side of your shoulders, which is how you get that pain in the front side with the bicep tendon. So it's really important to just set the knees down and to keep the integrity of the shoulder girdles strong than it is to compromise the stability of the shoulders in order to keep the knees lifted. There's really no benefit to it. So set the knees down, especially if you're new to yoga. Work on building the strength in the upper shoulder girdle, and then once you feel stable, then you can start to lift the knees. So that's it for our plank pose. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the next video. Namaste.
Namaste.